Today I'm going to show you how to use your playbook to identify repair and overhaul orders with estimated ship dates in the past, and then go through the right actions and the right escalation paths so that you can get those orders updated with an updated estimated ship date. So the first thing is you open up your playbook and you're on the home page. And from here in the My Actions section, it'll tell you at a high level how many repair and overhaul orders you have with ESDs in the past. So you can click on the hyperlink and it'll take you to the R&O Open Worksheet. But what I'm going to show you today is how to use the Actions tab, which is inside your playbook, which lists out all the steps necessary to really get through every single one of these actions. So from here on the home page, you can click on the My Actions hyperlink, and it's going to take you straight into your Actions tab or worksheet. The Actions tab or worksheet is basically the formal instructions for every single one of those actions that you saw on the home page, and it's instructions on how to close out the action and escalate them appropriately within our organization. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the one that you're looking for, and in this case we're looking for show me the instructions on how to escalate orders with estimated ship dates in the past, and it just happens to be this first one, or action 1.0. The cool thing is if you click on the little checkbox, it'll just go ahead and highlight it green for you, and if you click it again, it'll highlight it red. Click it again, clear, and then again green. So this is just a way if you're kind of tracking things. To check that, it lists out that you go to the R&O Open Worksheet, you look at the ESD indicator column, and then you set your filters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do those exact steps. So from the Action tab, I'm going to go ahead and click on my 5 orders. There's a hyperlink here, and it's going to take me to the R&O Open Worksheet. Now, if I follow those steps that it listed on that actions worksheet, it tells me to go to the ESD indicator column, and then it tells me to filter on just those items that are estimated ship date in the past or too far out. So one thing that's interesting to note is there are a lot of rules that are applied when it comes to finding out if the integrated supply chain or ISC is actually going to update the estimated ship date. So for example, if the order is CID, which is customer induced damage, if it's HRTS or ready to ship, if it's RAI, return as is, if the unit is scrapped, if the unit is T-code, which is technically complete, which basically means that the site has actually completed all of the work on the order and it's basically ready to ship, but it's waiting on something else. And so at that point, ISC is saying that the estimated ship date is exactly what it is on the service order and they're not going to change it because the order is actually ready. Also, if the unit is on a Z136 or a Z146 customer hold, those are Z tasks on the notification. That means that we're waiting on the customer for something. So in that case, ISC is not going to update the estimated ship date until we remove that customer hold. Now, if CSO, if the CBM, if the business processing team, if you're able to rectify that customer hold, within 24 hours of that order being removed on customer hold, ISC is obligated to update the estimated ship date. So in this case, you as a CBM, you want to find out, okay, how many of my orders have an ESD in the past? So that's why you're going to filter on this ESD in the past or too far out. You're going to say okay. So in this case for AAR, it looks like there's 5 orders with an ESD in the past. So what you can do, what I would do is I would probably kind of, like review the orders. It's interesting to see, and make sure you understand the details of your orders. It looks like 4 of the 5 orders, it's actually in gate 3. So it's very close. So, in that particular case, it's kind of a matter of you might want to touch base with the CSR and find out if they're really close or it might be shipping already. But in essence, the deal that we have right now from an aerospace perspective is no estimated ship dates in the past. So what you're going to do is you're going to take these 5 orders and you're going to want to escalate them through the proper escalation path. So you have 5 orders, and if you go back to your actions worksheet here, it tells you that you need to email your front-end CSR. And what you're going to do is you're going to confirm with your CSR that they've opened up a Z141Z task in SAP with ISC. In essence, that's the CSR asking ISC to update the estimated ship date because you have a customer that needs an updated date, or in this case, you as a CBM, you want to make sure your account is clean. And sometimes, everyone has good intentions, but the orders aren't updated. So you're just double checking, and through your double check, you found out, hey, I have 5 orders with an ESD in the past. So you need to email your front end CSR, and you need to confirm with them, I would send them a letter that says, hey, here's my 5 orders. If anything, you can go back to your RO Open tab, and what you can do is you can send them the sales orders. You can say, oh, here are my orders. Here you go. And you can just open up an email. You can email your front-end CSR. You can say, need to create Z141 tasks with ISC to update ESCs. You could do something like that. And then from there, you could just go ahead and paste that and then ask the CSR to make sure or confirm that he or she has created the Z141 task so that ISC will update it. So I'm going to go back to my worksheet here. And if we go back to our Actions tab, and this is, again, the tab that kind of outlines here all the steps you would need to do to try to make sure that you've escalated properly to clean up your estimated ship dates or get them updated. One thing to note is that if you haven't heard back from your CSR within 24 hours or 1 business day, then you need to go ahead and escalate through the CSO tiered escalation process. So if you click on this FEN CSR contact escalation matrix, it'll hyperlink into the list of front-end CSRs and then the chain of command to escalate an issue. One thing I should have mentioned prior to all of this is in order to email your front-end CSR, if you don't know the name of your front-end CSR, you would use this document to get that name. So once this document opens, on the left-hand side, you have all of the customer names, and then you also have your front-end CSR, and then it has the chain of command, the front-end CSR supervisor, then the next supervisor, then the site coordinator, and then finally the work stream leader. So the idea is that, again, if you don't hear back from your CSR within 1 business day, then you would email or IM the FEN CSR supervisor, and then you would go up the chain of command until you have a response back. Using the escalation matrix, you should get a response back, if you went all the way up the chain of command within, I would say, 4 to maybe 6 hours of starting the escalation process. So using this escalation matrix will give you the capability to get an answer on an urgent issue, an urgent question. So just to recap the steps on how to escalate and how to rectify estimated ship dates in the past on your customers' orders. The first step is to identify the orders using the playbook. The second step is to email your front-end CSR, and you can use the FEN CSR contact escalation matrix to do that. Once you email your front-end CSR, you're going to ask them to confirm that they have created the Z141Z task with ISC, asking ISC to update the estimated ship dates. So from that point, ISC has 24 hours to update the estimated ship date. If they don't update the date and they don't respond back to the CSR, then the CSR should be able to escalate within their own organization up their tiered structure if they have a lack of response from ISC. In addition to that, if you email your CSR and you don't receive a response within 24 hours, you too are obligated to use the escalation matrix and escalate up the CSO organization. So from the front end CSR, if you don't get a response back, you would email the supervisor, and then after 2 hours, you would email the supervisor. After 2 hours again, you would go all the way up through the site coordinator and then ultimately the work stream leader for a response back. So anyway, those are the steps. It's not that complex, but sometimes, staying on top of it and making sure that, you track your orders and you follow up on the escalation process can be a little cumbersome, but it's well worth it to keep your estimated ship dates clean for your customer. So one other thing to note is that say you are openly speaking with your CSR and the issue at hand is that the CSR isn't receiving a response back to the Z141 task that they had opened up. So remember, IAC is obligated, once they receive that Z141 task, to try to close it out within 1 business day on their end. So if that's the case and you are not getting a response back from ISC, then the CSR should escalate within their own CSO tiered structure process. So this isn't the CBM, trying to escalate something within the chain of command in CSO, but it's going to be the CSR which takes this particular request that you have, and he or she will know how to escalate it appropriately up the CSO tiered escalation process.